Welcome back. As always, be sure to leave a comment if you have anything to add to this video, any comments about this series or the channel in general. Also be sure to check my other channel, YC Games, it's one with the orange logo. And with all that out of the way, let's jump right into the video. Because we have already talked about the characters, villains, guns, planets, experimental game mechanics, story, enemies, and DLC. We really covered all the major topics. And normally this would be a 10-part series, but I can't actually think of another topic. And this video is just kind of playing wrap-up, so everything that doesn't pertain to any of those particular categories will be in this video. So this is going to be very scattered, very all over the place. And if you haven't seen my other videos and you are interested in any of those topics, be sure to check it out. And yeah, as always, just leave a comment if you have anything to add, any other cool ideas, any other topics you want me to cover about Borderlands 4. And with all that out of the way, let's jump into the actual topics. Now, I feel like this section is going to be the big chunk of this video because I have a lot of comments about the Borderlands 3 cutscenes that just drive me crazy. Like, why are the Vault Hunters not actually present in any of the cutscenes? Like, sometimes they made an excuse for it, and those are fine. Like the cutscene where Troy phase locks everyone. And, like, it's almost like those weird amusement park rides where you're, like, flying through the city and shit, whatever. And, you know, you move around a little bit, but the Vault Hunters are trapped in that instance. And so it's clearly, like, from the first-person view, like, we are the Vault Hunters, being trapped, and he's doing his spiel, and the cutscene plays in front of us. That's fine. That is the one cutscene I can point to and be like, okay, that makes sense. I actually enjoy that cutscene. Like, that is a good, well, at least makes sense cutscene. But then you have the complete polar opposite of Maya's death's cutscene, which makes no fucking sense. Now, I think the idea was that the Vault Hunters were in the vault when that whole scene played out, but that's not conveyed well. Because you have to leave the vault and then take a few steps. Like, it's not just leaving the vault triggers the cutscene. It's you leave the vault and then take a few steps and you see her standing there. So it's almost like we're in the room while all that goes down and no one does anything. And there's other instances throughout the game, but that's just like the worst one because of just how terrible that scene is in general, in my opinion, and how poorly that death was handled, really. But I've done that rant way too many times. We're moving on past that. But as far as the cutscene itself is concerned, we don't see the Vault Hunters, like, even in the background. Or we don't have a valid reason as to why the Vault Hunters wouldn't be there or wouldn't be intervening. So for Borderlands 4, I really hope that they either show the Vault Hunters in the cutscenes, which would make the most sense. Like, have them do their own thing. Like, they are characters. When we're not directly controlling them, like, in cutscenes, they should act like all the other characters. Like, do whatever they have to do. They, you know, reach for a gun, don't reach in time. They go to shoot, get knocked out, get knocked away. Whatever happens, okay, treat them just like any other character. Just them being absent from all cutscenes is just really bizarre. Like, they are still in the world. We are supposed to be influencing the world. The characters talk directly to us. We're not like ghosts or some shit. So it's just so weird that in cutscenes, they're just not present. Also on the topic of cutscenes, it feels like we really never got a lot of, like, super good cutscenes in any of the games. Other than the intro. Like, obviously, the intro, you know, awesome song, then cool, introduce us to the characters, like, those have always been cool. But as far as actual in-game cutscenes, none of them really particularly stick out. Even, like, the ending to Borderlands 3, like, Lilith sacrificing herself, that should be a big moment. And I feel like they wanted it to be, but it just fell flat for me. Like, it wasn't super well done. Like, her flying away just looked awkward and whatever. Like, I don't know if this is like an animation issue or what the actual problem is. It could also be a story thing because the story did not earn that, but that's, again, something I've covered in the past. I'm not going to touch on here. That's a whole other rant. But just, it doesn't really feel like anything in particular. Like, even one of the first cutscenes in Borderlands 3, like Lilith versus Tyreen, you know, they're doing siren powers or blasting lasers, being all cool. Like, it's alright, but it's really a pretty lame action. Like, it's not super well choreographed as an action scene. And if you're gonna delegate something like that to a cutscene, you would think that you would almost have like some kind of action director in there, like do like a fight choreography from like some big budget and like movie, and then just animate it with the characters or whatever. Like that's kind of almost a production issue thing that I hope they can really step up. Like if they're gonna have an action cutscene, because it's an action game, like it's a shooter game, all the action should be us in the game. You know, that's the fun part of it, is us shooting around, whatever. So if you're gonna have a cutscene with something like that in it, it better be something that Campley implements in the gameplay. It has to go above and beyond, something super spectacular where it's like, oh shit, like that. That's an awesome fight. Like, let's get in. Like, get us pumped up to go do the next whatever. And they did some cool camera tricks with the actual flying camera and then they'll punch it down. Something like that was kind of cool. So I get what they were going for there. But I don't know. I don't know if it's like a direction thing or if it's an animation thing or if it's a choreography thing. Whatever it is, none of the cutscenes really seemed like it was worth a cutscene, in my opinion. And this isn't a problem with just Borderlands 3. I know I punched down on Borderlands 3 a lot. This has always been a thing. Like, Borderlands 1 had no cutscenes. Borderlands 2 had a couple, but nothing really in particular other than character introductions, which, that's here too, and that's also cool. And also, with that being said, I would actually like to see character introductions for badass enemies. Like, I was playing on stream last Wednesday, Borderlands 1 DLC, the Claptrap one, and it was actually kind of cool. Like, out of nowhere, we just got a random character introduction for a badass enemy type, and it was like, oh shit, okay, so he's like a real deal. And no, he's not. He's just like another enemy type, just a badass variant of it. But he looked cool, and he got his own cutscene intro like a boss would, or like a main character would. So it was one of those things where it's like, oh, I actually wouldn't mind seeing that. Like, if, just the first time you see a badass whatever out there, give it a little stinger like that. I thought it was cool. Also, even though it doesn't really fit in with cutscenes, character animations in general need to be overhauled in 4. Like, 1 and 2, awful, like terrible. 3 did a little bit more with it, but not enough, especially if you want like next gen. Like, if this is going to be the actual like next gen, PS5, Series X, whatever, Borderlands game, how can we not have decent character animations? Like, it's just so awkward. You walk in a room and like 2 characters are talking, and when you get in whatever perimeter, their heads like snap to look at you, and then they like keep talking to each other, and their lips just open and close mouths. Like, it's just so awkward. How have we not gotten like actual character animations? And the ones that we do are clearly repeated. Like, it's so obvious. Like, just someone's hand slamming down on their, like, fist slamming down on their hand. They do it over and over again when they're talking. And, like, an awkward point. Like, their shoulders just do weird rotating things. Like, normal people don't talk like that. If you want to make a point and, like, slam your hand down, okay. You do that once when you make a point. But there's so many. This one sticks in my mind because I want to say it was Roland in Borderlands 2 constantly. Every time he talked, no matter what the sentence was, his animation was his lips like moving up and down, and his hand just constantly punching his other hand. Like, it was just such an awkward animation, and they really didn't fix it in 3. Like, that just seems like such a weird, like, okay, we're kind of past that point in gaming. Like, characters should perform somewhat naturally. Like, if you're gonna talk, if you're gonna be a quest giver, if you're gonna whatever, you should stand there and talk like a normal human at least, and look like you're not literally just standing there waiting for the player to interact with you. It's just weird. And that might be a nitpicky thing, it might just be me, but as far as like, we're kind of past that point. A game like Borderlands 4, like Borderlands as a franchise, it being shooter, a single player, co-op, whatever, like, whatever. If you're gonna have NPCs in the game, have them at least try to behave like people. This one definitely is like a pretty minor thing, but I was personally not a big fan of the box art for Borderlands 3. I remember when it first announced it, I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool, but like, looking back, I miss the finger guns. Like, that's just, that should be as iconic with the Borderlands franchise as everything else about the game. So it just seemed really weird to take that out. I get it. Like, okay, how do you do 3? Like, you gonna use the toe? No, I think they should have had, like, one main villain and, like, have him behind the Psycho and doing a finger gun to the back of his head, like, execution style. Like, how badass would that look? A character, obviously not Handsome Jack, but, like, just have it Handsome Jack behind the guy, finger gun to the back of the head, boom, that's the third gun. That's Borderlands 3. And then even the same thing for 4. Bring that back, but then, like, have, like, the Eclipse Twins. Have, like, 2 main villains, and then they both, like, aim finger guns at the person. Or even do, like, almost like a Black Ops 1, like the guy kind of resting on his shoulder with the 2 guns. Have, like, that as the one villain behind him with 2 guns pointing at the Psycho's back, and that's 4. I don't know. Very, very nitpicky thing, but I just think bring back the finger guns for the box art. That kind of does it for this one. I know it's a shorter one, but just kind of the extra stuff that didn't fit in another video. And I know that was only 2 topics looking back at it now, but it felt like more as I was building it up. But that's neither here nor there. So that'll probably be the end of this prediction series. I plan on doing the same thing I did with Borderlands 3 of when we actually start getting trailers, maybe revisit all these videos and see the kind of stuff I got right, judging from the trailers, and then other things that I got predicted onto, whatever. Plus, with the movie coming out, might make some more videos about that. I'd probably do a review of that after it comes out, so I guess look forward to that. If there's any other topics you want me to cover as far as Borderlands 4 predictions are concerned, let me know down in the comments, because I just like to talk about Borderlands. I always will. Like, it's just something, a game I really like, and I'm really hopeful for the future. Even though, especially after playing Tales and replaying 3, it's like, well, maybe we're not heading in the best of directions, but hey, I'm always willing to be pleasantly surprised. So I'm still looking forward to it. Still looking forward to hopefully seeing something soon. I guess the most recent rumor is early June, Summer Games Fest. We could potentially hear something about it, so might be sooner than you think, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. As always, see you in the next one. Bye.